Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and iTWireTV interview. Today I'm joined by Frank Weishaupt. He's the CEO of Labs. Welcome to the program.
Pleasure to be here, Alex. Looking forward to it.
Now, I thought we'd just probably best start at the beginning and ask you to explain what Labs is and does, and then let's go straight into a demo.
Absolutely. So let's get started because what your audience is seeing right now is they're seeing the meeting through the eyes of a remote participant if there were a meeting owl in the room. So I'll introduce the other folks that are in the room and they'll see how they present themselves. So Sierra, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sierra Obi, and I'm a software engineer here at Owl, and I live in the Boston area.
Hi, Sierra.
Hi, I'm Ashley Carr, and I lead marketing here at Owl Labs, also based in the Boston area.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi, I'm Robin Cox. I'm the People Ops Manager here at Owl Labs, and I'm also located in the Boston area.
G'day, g'day.
Great. So here I am back again. So I'm Frank Weishaupt, and so to give you some perspective, we're on a Zoom call right now, and what you're seeing is that they're seeing a meeting presented to them as a remote participant as with a meeting owl in the room. And what you're seeing is that they're seeing a stage right now, and that stage is made up of different components. So up on the top, you'll see the panoramic strip, and that gives you a full 360 perspective to what's happening in the room at all times. And then at the bottom, you're seeing what we call the stage. So the stage can be presented a few different ways. And the way that the owl works is that it's a 360-degree camera speaker microphone that sits in the center of the table. It's USB plugged right into your computer. You just select it as the camera speaker microphone on your Zoom application. And then it uses audio and visual cues to determine who is speaking at any time. So right now, you've had 3 recent speakers, and therefore it's split 3 ways. But if I became the primary speaker for a long period of time, what would happen is eventually you'd see Ashley and Robin, while wonderful, both have not spoken in a while, they eventually would disappear and I would take on more of the stage. So the purpose of the owl is to be able to give the remote participant the feeling that they're a part of the conversation. So we've all been in video conferencing meetings where you have a camera that's on top of the television or on the bottom of the television. You have this one static perspective for what's happening in the room. And let's be honest, it's like watching a meeting. It's not like participating in the meeting. But right now, I'm seeing my natural movement and my natural gestures as I'm going through and having conversations with folks in the room, so that as I look towards Ashley, I can have a conversation directly with Ashley. You feel like you're participating in it as well. So what we at OWL really believe is that this is the opportunity for that remote participant to still be productive, even though they're no longer in the room. So there are a few features that the OWL has. Like I said, it's very easy to use. It's USB plug and play. There's no drivers or downloads that you need in order to make it work. And then there is an app, and we have a companion app on a tablet in the room right now. And there are several features on it that allow you to maximize the benefit of the owl. So I think you could probably start with, you can remove the panoramic strip. If that's not the desired view that you can remove it so that you get more of the individuals on the screen. And now you can put that back. Say, there we go. It's like magic.
Yeah.
A couple other ones, like, so for example, if there's other things in the room that aren't a part of the meeting, in this case, the television is not, you can actually set an ignore zone, and you can see that in the panoramic strip right now, that there are certain room that could be completely ignored so that they don't interfere with the meeting. So those are just a few of the things that, really give you the opportunity to maximize the use of the technology. And again, it's incredibly easy to use.
I can see that. I mean, it's you can see where the term owl comes from. Of course, the Owl Labs 3 looks very much like that little owl face. And I haven't seen a meeting like this before. I mean, I've been into some pretty incredible and expensive meeting rooms in some of the, like Deloitte buildings where they've got these giant screens and it's like a half moon-shaped sort of 180-degree room, and it's obviously super expensive to set that up. But this is clearly something that is much more affordable that anybody can set up and really take advantage of turning the work from home reality into much more of a business-friendly environment.
Yeah, it's not only reasonably priced and easy to use for anyone in the office, but it's also extremely portable as well, right? So if you're, as we see the world change, offices are changing as well, and so that committed conference room may not be the case anymore. You may be in different soft seating areas or kitchens or other meeting places, and the OWL provides both affordability as well as portability, which makes it a one-of-a-kind solution.
So when did the company start, and what are some of the other products and services that you have available?
Yeah, so the company was actually founded in 2014 by two iRobot engineers, Mark Schnittman and Max McKeeve, who are both still with the company and very active. I came on as CEO in 2018. So the company was actually founded on this concept that you should be able to work wherever you want and live wherever you want. So, when you are living in Montana, if you're here in the United States and you want to be able to compete for, jobs in San Francisco, you should still have the ability to do it. And our founder actually was managing a remote team in Las Vegas for a company that he really wanted to work for, but he didn't want to live in Las Vegas. So he stayed in Boston. And it's a great founder story, and it's a great concept of how a really everyday idea turns into a big business. So the problem that he had when he was coming remotely into meetings with lots of people in the room is that he really couldn't hear or see what was going on. And so it was a static camera, and sometimes it was even pointed at the floor or at the wall, and he wasn't getting any of the perspective in the room. And then one day, one of his colleagues took the laptop and they put it on a swivel stool in the middle of the room, and they started moving the swivel stool around to the individual speaker.
Wonderful.
And that's really how the idea was born.
Yeah.
They're both roboticists at the core, and he thought to himself, well, there's got to be a way to solve this using robotics as opposed to just having to live with it the way that it's been for so many years. And that's how the company was born. This is actually so in Australia, we have what we have available is the Meeting Owl Pro, and that's the second generation of the Meeting Owl, and it's really the heart of the company. We have some other accessories that we are bringing forward globally, and Australia will be one of those in the near future.
And so you've just launched in Australia, or you've been here for a while?
Yeah, so we actually just launched in the back half of this year. So the company first had products for sale in 2017. We started as primarily a U.S. company, and then we branched out to Canada and then throughout Europe. And so this is our first foray in coming to Australia, and we're very excited about the market opportunity, and we're very excited with the early adoption that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm guessing also that you must have had some customers in Australia who found your products overseas and imported them and started using them, even though you weren't in Australia as yet officially.
Very insightful, and those are things I didn't know before I started with the company, because when we were only available for sale in the United States and Canada, we were available on our website. We were also available through Amazon, and this is a Wi-Fi connected device. So what happens is that it's really all driven by a software experience. So you connect it to Wi-Fi, and then we send periodic updates to which enhances the overall experience for the remote participant in terms of how the users are presented. And because they're Wi-Fi connected, we could get a sense from generally from where the owls were in the world. And even though we were only available for sale in North America, their owls had found its way to 158 countries around the world within our first year. So I'm sure they're present somewhere in Australia, but now it's official that they're available in different sales channels in Australia.
Yeah. Well, we also, of course, had the pandemic. I mean, you started as CEO before that, and that, of course, was a lot of people working from home. People are still working from home. So are you still seeing a lot of growth in the video market, despite the fact that in theory, the pandemic should be over because people just simply enjoy working from anywhere too much?
I mean, it makes sense, right? I think employees have spoken and they really appreciate the flexibility, right? And I can say, even from my own perspective, that, I appreciate the flexibility as well. I mean, I tend to come into the office probably more often than not, but, I have a fairly long commute, and that's 2 to 3 hours a day that I can get back for work, that I can get back for my family, and that I can get back for my health, or however I want to use that time. So I think, employees are demanding that they maintain that level of flexibility. And I just think that the office has taken on a different role, right? It is more task-based and it's less time-based. The idea that like we're committed to being somewhere from a certain period of time to a certain period of time almost sounds absurd now. But when the office, it's going to be more of one of these situations where there are certain tasks that I do in the office that I'm going to go in for. And then there are certain things that I can be anywhere to do. And quite frankly, sometimes I'll be more productive if I do them in solitude, or if I do them in my own location without having to commute. So, hybrid is the way that the world is going. It seems market by market to be fairly universal in that way. So we've continued to see, tremendous pickup. And there's still a long way to go, though. There's 90 million conference rooms in the world, and only less than 10% of them are actually wired for video. So companies have not really kind of caught up on the infrastructure to make things productive, because as I told you earlier, what you're seeing now is you're really participating with me. And if there are other people in the room, and they were participating as well, you have that same feeling, as opposed to that one where you're just watching the meeting, which is not as productive.
Now, one of the things I always love to ask about is the fact that your best R&D division isn't always the R&D guys and girls in your labs, but your customers. So have there been any great customer ideas that you've heard about, that you've implemented and have become hits with the rest of your customer base?
Yeah, I think that's sort of always where we wind up getting our best ideas. So we have something that we call Voice of the Customer, where we get feedback from our users on increments of their life cycle with us. And for us, the most recent advances that have been made have really been around what we call the attention system. So you can't see this, but if you go to the website, or I'm sure you'll have a version of the picture that has the eyes lit up, right? So we like to say the owl's attention system is actually the brain. So what most of our customers wanted as we moved this product forward was they wanted better video quality, and they wanted the ability to have an attention system that did things like recognize faces faster, that switched faster, that had a sleeker interface. And so most of the advances that you'll see right now are focused on the attention system and that software that really runs that experience and makes that very efficient.
Well, it's certainly true that the owl itself in nature is very, very responsive to movements. It sees rodents, and it sees things it wants to go and catch. So calling it and basing it on the owl was obviously a genius move.
and it can essentially move its head completely around 360 degrees. So there's something about it where it has a personality. So we actually have more than 130,000 organizations worldwide that are currently using the owl, and we not only get a lot of feedback on the product and enhancements that people are looking for, but it almost becomes a little bit of a mascot in some of the offices where companies name their owls. They have viral handles on Twitter where they're basically giving their owl a personality. So it's a unique bird in many ways.
And I'm imagining that because we're talking on Zoom, I mean, the Owl Labs cameras are compatible with Teams and Hangouts and FaceTime. I mean, it must be compatible with everything.
Yeah, that's right. It's a USB peripheral that you're plugging in, and whatever video conferencing platform that you're using, you're just selecting it as your camera, speaker, microphone. And in today's case, I put it into my laptop. we're on Zoom, and I didn't even have to make any setting changes. It automatically picked up the owl as the audio and video.
And are there any other customer success stories, whether globally or even now in Australia, now that you're here, that you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I mean, what we're really all over the board. We have customers, like I said, that range in the small business arena all the way up to 84 of the Fortune 100 companies globally have adopted owls for one of their spaces, because as we all know, there are going to be remote participants in almost 98% of your meetings going forward. So, success stories have really been about making that connection for remote participants and people that are in the office. And it's all walks of life. It's conference rooms for businesses, it's education in schools, it's public meetings, and it's churches where elderly participants don't want to be out and about and are able to really participate remotely. So it's anywhere where there is a gathering of, call it 2, 3, or more people in one space, and there are remote participants that want to feel a part of the activity. That's really where success lies.
Yeah, I mean, it's a set and forget. You put it in the middle of the table, and it just picks up everybody in a 360-degree way that is just not possible with traditional camera systems.
Yeah, that's right. And we actually have the ability now. One of the things that I didn't add earlier that is something that customers have requested is to have multiple owls paired together.
Yeah.
So we actually have something called Owl Connect, where they create their own wireless network, so that if you have a much bigger space, in a smaller space, it's very efficient for me to look across the table or me to look this way. But if there are people that are far down the room, you don't want to spend the entire meeting looking at the side of my face like this. So we could have there's the ability to pair them together if you purchase two, and there's one that is capturing me right now. And then if I were to shift my head all the way to the other end of the table, the owl would make that determination, and it would switch to the other owl so that it really captured the front of my face and my actions, so that you felt like you were sitting across from me.
Right. Clever. So what else should we know about Owl Labs before we move on to some sort of closing questions?
Yeah, I mean, we're really excited about the opportunity going forward. So, we're going to continue to innovate. We're going to continue to create that great customer experience that our customers have gotten so used to. Because at the end, this is all about trying to make connections and trying to put ourselves in a position to be at the center of the table, so that we're the directors of the meeting and that you don't have to worry about anything.
And are there any things you can tell us about how Owl Labs should evolve over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to evolve the audio and the video. We will, think about different ways to present the hardware to capture more elements of the room. And then, we'll constantly be evolving the software, so that the software is not only evolving over time, but it's really providing that remote user with that top-notch experience, so that they are as productive as they were if they were in person.
And then if you were to look into the crystal ball a little bit further into the 2030s, when the metaverse and extended reality headsets should be as commonplace as smartphones and tablets are today. I mean, are your R&D guys already working with headsets to try and figure out how to make Owl Labs technologies really blend seamlessly into the metaverse experience that should be, as I said, commonplace in the 2030s?
Who knows what the date will be, right? But there's if you ask different people that question, you're going to get a different answer. Don't know exactly when it's going to be, but we actually recently did a large survey of customers, and in our annual State of the Remote Work report, and 35% of director and above, all the way to CEO, thought that it was an important thing that they spend time thinking about the metaverse and the impact that it's going to have on their workforce. So, I think that actually shows that there's interest in it. And, I do believe that the opportunity does exist to be able to create a meeting where we are virtually together even though we are not in the same location. So, right now, we've gotten used to, and it's wonderful, right? We all got thrust into video very quickly because I don't know about what it was like for you, but it was not commonplace in every meeting that I've been in for the last decade, but certainly in the last 2.5 years, it's every meeting that I've ever been in is video, and we've gotten very used to seeing each other. But I think it's going to evolve beyond that. It'll be back to the place where you think that you feel like you're in the same room, whether it be a headset, whether it be holograms. You're just going to be able to have that natural flow to how you would operate if you were in the same location together. And again, I think that that'll increase productivity levels, which is what the optimization of this is all about, increasing productivity, right? We're going to start with the basics, which is we need every room wired and every angle covered. And then once we get the basics and fundamentals down, then we're going to start to evolve beyond that. And whether it's 2025, 2030, 2040, we'll have to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I got my first Connectix QuickCam in 1995. It was from the US. It was $500. It was black and white. It plugged in via the parallel port, and I was actually recording videos that I was squeezing down, really compressing down to 30 seconds and embedding them into PDFs, which were then being sent out in this particular company's newsletter. So that was, I mean, I've been involved in video for a long time with See You, See Me, and we had Skype. And, a lot of people don't realize that something like Zoom has been around for 12 years. People think it just came along during the pandemic. So, I did use video calls, but certainly the digital acceleration the pandemic brought was one of the few silver linings, and it really has changed the way that we live and work. And I wouldn't go back. I don't think to. I'd certainly go back to a pre-COVID world, but I wouldn't go back to a world where we didn't embrace video as we are doing right now with
no, and the demand for us accelerated significantly over that time. I mean, we're 7x where we were at the start of the pandemic. We were a relatively small startup when I started in 2018, and then things have just moved very quickly. And there's been a lot of really good stories in there because it was just that need for people to still feel very connected, even though they're spread so far apart. And it's come a long way. It's not going back. It's just, I think it's now on leaders of companies and companies to, optimize the workforce for how they want to work, because the way that we were doing it before didn't work. But, we really haven't gotten to that point where we fully embraced hybrid at this point. And that's what we're excited to help solve here over the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know that when I was having meetings during the lockdowns, often at the end of the meeting, a few of us would hang around just to socialize because that was the only way you could really do it in a group setting during the pandemic. So, look, just to finish on a few questions, I always like to ask, can you please share a memory of your first computer, and what was your first video call?
So, first computer I would say was when I got out of college. I know that dates me that I didn't have a computer in college, but that's a whole other story. But I remember my first job, I got a computer, and the mouse was like this little trackball that was on the side of the computer.
It was Toshiba. It clicked on the side.
Yeah, and it was awful. It was awful. I kept losing it. It would break off. It was just it made so much sense that it was a part of the laptop, but the fundamental practice of it was not great. And I don't think that design existed beyond that one computer.
Yeah, no, I never saw it beyond that. It was something weird. You had to click onto the side and hold it. And it was an attempt to bring a mousing interface to a computing design that didn't have the trackpad yet and didn't have the little pointer that is on ThinkPad. And your first video call?
My first video call, if I remember it correctly, I have a long digital history. So I've worked for many internet companies along the way, some of which a lot of your users have probably heard of, whether it be Yahoo or AOL. And I remember my first one was at AOL, and the person was up on the screen, and there were a bunch of us that were in a boardroom, and it didn't work at all. It was choppy. it didn't make much sense. And so I remember one of the executives at AOL at the time said, okay, listen, to make this equal for everyone, I'm going to start going under the table and speaking to see whether or not you're able to, hear my words as you're hearing his. So he'd go under the table, and it was incredibly muffled, and then he would pop up every now and then and be like, okay, I'm back. And so it was kind of a mockery. It was probably in the late 90s. So I don't think we were quite there yet to do a boardroom call on video, and it showed.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I remember those times. Yeah, it was very sketchy in the early days. It was black and white and jittery, and it just wasn't anywhere near as smooth as we take for granted today.
Yeah.
Now, my second last question is to ask if you could please share some of the best advice you've received in life to help you get where you are today.
Yeah, so I have to give my wife credit for this one, but if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so that is one of the things that she taught me early in our relationship, and it stuck with me throughout my entire life, and certainly my business, my business career, which is, making sure that you have a plan, making sure that you're following that plan, and making sure if the plan needs alteration, that you're altering the plan and where you want to go. Because if you don't have a roadmap, you're never going to, know what roads to travel to get you there.
Yeah, any road you travel is fine because your destination is not known. No, that's
right.
Excellent advice. Yeah. And so what is your final message to iTWire viewers and readers and to your customers and partners, not only now in Australia, but around the world?
Yeah, so I think it's simple for me, which is, the world has changed and we have to embrace that. So I think we all embraced the change when we went from living our normal lives in 2019 to all getting sent home in 2020. We embraced it. We talked about it. We thought about how to make it work. And now that some are back in the office, some are not, there's not clear policies universally across companies. It seems like people are morphing back into this midweek period where they go into the office, and then on either side of it, they're working from home. Have clear policies for your employees. Find out what they want. Ask them, because they're more than willing to tell you what they think is best. We do this state of remote work that I talked about earlier. Readers can feel free to take a look at that as well, because it's feedback about what employees want from their employers. And so then what companies have to do is they have to figure out how to optimize their offices in order to give the employees that hybrid experience that make them as productive as they were when everyone was going into the office. And certainly for us, one of the ways that we're helping in that is, that one piece of conference room technology that really needs to get solved.
Well, you must be very voracious users of your own technologies, and I'll certainly be linking to the various product pages and to the state of work report that you mentioned in the article that accompanies this video. So Frank Weishaupt, thank you so much for taking the time, CEO of Our Labs. I wish you the best of success, and I hope we can talk again in the future.
I can't wait, and I can't wait to get over there and go to Australia and visit the market and visit some of the customers, and I really appreciate the time, Alex.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.